Okay, now I'm going to read you actually a couple of humor pieces that are not science fictional. And I don't know if most of you know this. You can start rolling again. But back in the 1990s, I was actually an editor of a humor area on America Online. You might remember America Online as being the Google of the 90s. And so, how many people here actually had America Online between like 1996 and 1998? It's okay, show of hands, it's a safe space, no judgment. So you sign on, and there would be the welcome screen, you've got mail, and there would be the triangle, which was the America Online symbol. And if you clicked on it, it would take you to an area that was never advertised. It was a humor area there, and sometimes there would be a cartoon, and sometimes there would be a funny essay, or something like that. That was the humor area of America Online. It was called Howdy, because, on the welcome screen, howdy. And so I ran that for a couple of years, and while I was doing that, I also had a weekly column there. And so I decided it'd be kind of fun to unearth a couple of these columns that have literally been in a vault for like 15 years and to inflict them upon you because you're a captive audience. So one of them I updated slightly, but the other one I did not, so it is chock full of 90s references. So when that happens, just let it happen, just let it wash over you. Oh, the 90s, such an innocent time. All we need is some Third Eye Blind, it will be awesome. If you were not born in or refuse to acknowledge the 90s, don't worry, it'll be over very quick. So the first thing I'm going to read to you is actually a piece that I wrote about pig roast that I attended, which seems sort of random, but I will tell you why I selected this. I'm on a very long book tour. It's about a 4-week book tour. And the first 4 places that I did my book tour were Houston and Austin, which are in Texas, and Chapel Hill and Raleigh, which are in North Carolina. And they are very, 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 very serious about their big barbecued of large mammals, particularly pigs. And not only are they very serious about their barbecue, but they also apparently have a rivalry going on. It's like the Red Sox and Yankees of barbecue. And so like I'm in Texas and they're like, where are you going next? And I was like, well, I'm going to go to North Carolina. I gotta tell you, that thing that they call barbecue there, I don't know what that is. That's not barbecue, that's just humiliating a pig. And then you go to North Carolina, right? And you go, and where have you just come from? I was like, I was just in Texas. Oh, Texas! They have that thing there they call barbecue. It's adorable. And I'm like, I grew up in Southern California. It's like, we have In-N-Out Burger and we have Little Donuts. This is an argument that I have no investment in. But they are very Highlander about it. There can be only one. You have to choose. And I want to say it's like, I like both of your barbecue, and they're just like, you're a Yankee. So, in any event, so I figured that a discussion of the very first pig roast that I ever went to would go over pretty well in both of those states, and as it turns out I was correct. And so I'm going to read that to you now. So, last week I mentioned to a coworker of mine that I was going to attend a pig roast that weekend. This being the first time I'd been invited to one, I was unsure of what exactly was going to happen. My coworker, apparently a veteran of the pig roasting genre, was only too happy to fill in the details. It is the only way to cook a pig, he declared, negating thousands of years of bacon, pork chops, spam, and potted meat food product in a single imperious sweep. What you do is you take a pig, you stick a rod in it from mouth to tail, and then you cook it over an open pit for several hours. So, you even cook the head, I asked. Absolutely, he said. In fact, you can tear a chunk right off that pig's forehead and eat it while it's still cooking. That sounds disgusting. Disgusting, he said, in pure shock. Man, that is the best part. I came away from this discussion with 2 thoughts. The first was simply the observation that there is a certain class of folk who seem drawn to eating the most disturbing parts of the animal. Pig forehead / orangutan lips / fish genitals. Man, that's the best part. While one can appreciate this in that sort of Native American use all parts of the animal sense, it's still a little unsettling. If God had truly meant man to think about the fact that he was eating pig forehead / orangutan lips / fish genitals, he would not have invented the hot dog. My second thought was that this pig roasting thing was going to be more complicated than I originally suspected. And indeed it is. The flame broiling of an entire mammal is not something to be taken lightly. You don't approach the task of cooking a whole pig like you would approach the task of cooking a hamburger. You can't just slap it on the grill, flip it over a couple of times, lay some cheese on top, accidentally drop it into the flaming briquettes, and end up trying to fill up on potato salad. No, there is some serious planning involved. So, here is what you need to cook an entire pig. Number one, the pig. This, no doubt, to the great displeasure of the pig itself. Our pig was neither one of those polyploidial monstrosities that show up at county fairs looking horrifyingly like the farmer that brought it, nor one of those cute toupee piglets that were so darn cute in Babe. This one was medium-sized, which in human terms is about the size of Macaulay Culkin or Labor Secretary Robert Reich. 90s! Yeah, didn't lie. Our pig came without the head, which meant we had to forego the forehead gnawing portion of the day, but which also made it easier for most of us to get through the food preparation process without thinking of Wilbur from Charlotte's Web. Our pig was also spared the indignity of having a metal rod pinioning it through its anterior and posterior orifices. On the other hand, it was split right down the middle and halved like a red banana, so I don't suppose from the pig's point of view that this was any better. Number two, the cooking apparatus. Entire pigs are generally cooked over a pit, which is dug in the ground, filled with some sort of long-burning flammable object, charcoal briquettes, mesquite logs, Kenny G compact discs, and then set ablaze. For our pig roast, digging a hole in the ground was not practical, so we had a huge industrial-strength grill, large enough to grill a Ford Explorer if one were in the mood. The alternator? Man, that's the best part. Number three, the pig roasting guy. Unless you're itching for a family fun pack of trichinosis, you want the guy who's roasting your pig to have some experience. A pig roasting guy who comes from a long and proud line of pig roasters. Our pig roasting guy was JD, and his pig roasting skills were not in dispute. Every July 4th, JD would roast 3 entire pigs over a pit and invite most of the county over for a party. Pigs were known to run squealing if he came within 30 yards. JD came complete with seasonings, barbecue sauce, a dazzling array of electric utensils, but the most interesting things about JD were his gloves. Thick, black, galvanized rubber monsters, glistening with grease. Just the sort of thing you'd want to wear if you were handling high voltage wires or planning to strangle the mailman. For the life of me, I couldn't figure out what they were for until JD put them on, hopped over to the grill, grabbed the pig with both hands, and flipped the entire thing in one disturbingly graceful motion. This was the Greg Louganis of the pig roasting world. Once you have all of these things in place, the pig roasting pretty much takes care of itself. All you have to do is stand around with the other guys, drink beer, and every now and then nibble on the steaming hot chunk of flesh your pig roasting guy offers you in advance of the formal pig devouring. Each time you get an advanced pig chunk, you should chew appreciatively, gazing out into the distance as if lost in thought. Then turn to your pig roasting guy and say, "Now that's some damn fine pig." This is the standard response. Any deviation from the norm will cause your pig roasting guy to look at you with suspicion. The next time he offers you a pig chunk, it will probably come from some part of the pig you would have rather not have known about. Take it anyway, because man, that's the best part. Okay, that's that. A couple of stops ago, I was in Troy, Ohio, and it was my hometown one, so my wife was there for the reading. And as the reading was going on, she began to realize that, in fact, I was talking about an event that actually did happen. It was the first time that I went to visit like most of her family in Ohio, which is where we now live. And they're like, he's coming, it's July 4th weekend, come on down, we're going to have a pig roast. And so I really just sort of did a transcription of that, and she was just like, I was there. I remember it. I remember it very differently than you remember it. This is not a surprise. All right, so I have one more reading, and then we're going to go into the question and answer session of the day. So be thinking of questions that you will want to ask me. Otherwise, it's going to be an awkward 20 minutes or so of me just staring at you going, I got nothing for you. So be thinking of something you want to ask me. Now, this one is about the end of summer, which has apparently already happened. And I actually figured it out. Lock-In came out on August 26th. I'm on tour now, and it goes actually till the 20th, which is this next Saturday. That's 4 weeks. And then the 21st is actually, I think it's the first day of fall. So I'm literally spending my summer vacation on tour with you folks. So, so that's one thing. And the other thing it's about is also about lemonade stands. Just a show of hands here. How many of you, when you were kids, had a lemonade stand? Right? See? Yep, you know what it's all about. So this is a column that's about that. It's about lemonade stands. It's about the end of summer. It's also about free enterprise. So, yesterday was the last day of summer, and what a day it was. Here in Ohio, where I live, the sun dappled the trees in golden light, and it was just hot enough to remind you that it was still summer, even if only for one more day. Looking down the road, I could see 2 lemonade stands, children at the standby, ready to sell their last tangy glasses of the season. It was perfect, and I decided to get myself some lemonade. Hey there, I said to the youngsters, a boy and a girl, sitting behind the first stand. Got any lemonade left? Sure, said the boy, smiling up at me with an adorable gap-toothed grin. I squoze the lemons myself. Do you want a cup? Absolutely, I said. And the boy grabbed a Dixie cup, and the girl poured the lemonade, and they were so cute, you could just die. I was whisked back to my own days as a lemonade stand proprietor, and I felt now, as the customer, I was helping continue a generations-long summer tradition. An American tradition. That'll be $1.50. What? I said. That'll be $1.50, the boy repeated. Wow, I said. That's kind of steep for a Dixie cup worth of lemonade. The boy and the girl stopped smiling and looked at me strangely. I immediately felt guilty. You don't want the lemonade? The boy asked. I didn't say that, I said. It's just that we'll have to throw it out. The little girl piped up, her voice catching just a little bit. We've already poured it for you, mister. We can't just put it back. Now they both looked like they were about to cry. It was terrible. An obvious letdown to what was heretofore the most perfect day of the year. So I figured, what the heck? All right, I said, done deal. Their adorable faces immediately perked up again, and I fished in my pocket for my change. I was then presented with another problem. I have only 65 cents on me, I said. Their puckish faces darkened again, and this time there was suspicion in their eyes. And who could blame them? 2 times a deal had been struck. Both times, at the end of the deal, I backed away, citing previously undisclosed reservations. Clearly, I was an unreliable customer. Clearly, I was messing with their delightful calic little heads. The 2 went into a huddle. After a minute or 2 of whispers, the boy turned to face me. All right, we don't normally do this. We've decided to extend you a line of credit. Great, I said, reaching for the Dixie cup. The boy kept his grip on the lemonade. You just have to answer a few questions. The little girl, reaching under the lemonade stand, pulled out a clipboard. Have you ever defaulted on a loan or found yourself involved in bankruptcy proceedings? She asked, the slightest of lisps in her voice, no doubt brought on by the absence of a front tooth. No. Do you rent or do you own? I own, I said. Hey, all I wanted was some lemonade. And you will get some as soon as we're satisfied with your credit history, the boy said. And you will love it. I squoze the lemons myself. That was a lot cuter before you asked me if I rent, I said. How much do you pay for your mortgage? The little girl asked. I am not going to answer that, I said, putting my foot down. The two looked at each other and then at me. Once again, I was imposing deal-breaking conditions. Okay, the little girl said in a tone of voice that expressed in no uncertain terms who the jerk was in this deal. I'm phoning this into the credit bureau. It will take a couple of minutes. She left, leaving me and the boy. So, selling much lemonade? I asked. Some, he said, well within our sales projection for the month. Lower summer temperatures have depressed the lemonade market in general, and last winter's citrus fees meant higher overhead. We've had to pass some of the cost on to the consumer. No kidding. He shot me a look. Fortunately, we have some leeway thanks to a subsidy from a regulatory entity. The Department of Agriculture? No, our mom. The little girl came back and she did not look happy. You missed a payment on a JCPenney credit card in 2008, she said. Why didn't you tell us about that earlier? What's the big deal? I said. I made a double payment the next month. And anyway, it was like 6 years ago. You were a gamete 6 years ago. Well, I'm afraid we're not going to be able to offer you a line of credit, she said. You're just not an acceptable risk for us. Fine! I said, you know what? I'm going to that other lemonade stand. You kids are about to learn a lesson in the free market. I walked down the street to the other stand. There was a cheerful little tyke there with an appealing smile. How much for the lemonade? I asked. Oh, it's just a quarter, he said. Great! I said, I will take a cup. Oh, you want the cup, he said. The cup is $2.50. There you go.